All right. This is my first live stream of the paint stream, so we're gonna hopefully tonight will go all right, and we'll see how this works out. So this is my first time doing this, so if I come off as a little awkward or if something goes a little off, just bear with me. This is just the first episode. So tonight, this is the paint stream, and what we do on the paint stream is we try out we showcase a variety of art styles and techniques, for anywhere from drawing, sketching to acrylic and oil painting. Um, Tonight, what I will be doing is I'm going to be using alcohol markers to create a series of drawings, and the first one I'm going to start off with is a red bell pepper. Um, so what I want to do right now is I'm going to lightly sketch out the outline of my pepper. I want to try to keep this as light as possible because I don't want too much of the pencil lines to be showing up. So I hope everyone's been having a great Monday. It's a nice quiet day so far. Let's see. Yeah, whenever I try out a new medium, which I've done alcohol markers before in the past, it's just been a minute. I always like to start off with some basic shape, something interesting, and I always find red bell peppers being the most interesting. Oh, a lot of tutorials I've seen, they kind of start off with like fruits or vegetables, and they always go for apples or tomatoes. I always kind of think of a red bell pepper as kind of like a more interesting tomato. And I also like the color red, so that's why I always kind of default to this particular uh, vegetable. I think it's actually considered a fruit. So, okay. Go ahead and erase some of these stray lines. Kind of tighten up this drawing a bit. I'm going to start by putting in the lightest spots of my bell pepper in first. I always kind of like to start off with the lighter color. As a matter of fact, I would like to blend in this color into kind of a whitish color. So I'm going to start off just kind of applying some clear alcohol down, just kind of erasing some of these hard edges along the. That'll blend out shortly. Well, hopefully that'll blend out. It doesn't really have to be perfect. Really, I always kind of find that as long as you have the basic idea of your image down, most people will go with that. Yes. I'm gonna lay down the base color for the red bell pepper. I was gonna just, what I want to do before that ink dries is I want to blend and kind of create a bit of a blend between the two shades, the pink and the red. Yeah. It's okay if I go outside of my sketch's edges a little bit. After all, the sketch is really more of a guideline. It's not something that if I kind of fudge a little bit, it's gonna completely break what I'm doing. So. Alright. So now that I've kind of put down the mid-tone and the basic color for the pepper, I want to start kind of cleaning up a few of these edges just to smooth them out a little bit and make it a little bit more pleasing. And I also kind of want to start using this and just kind of going back over the base color to start adding in some shadows to my image. Especially got some really dark ones over here that I want to make sure are getting their due. It also starts by building up the ink on the paper. It starts to kind of start giving the pepper its dimensions. I want to blend this edge just a little bit. It's starting to look a little too harsh. It's not looking too bad. Okay, I want to start adding some more shadow to the red parts. So, yeah, adding this shade into it. It's not making like a super dark shadow area yet. I do want to eventually start making more of a dark area. Right now I'm just kind of going for a more gradual transition. Probably noticed that I have a layer of wax paper underneath my drawing, and that is because it will keep the alcohol ink from bleeding through the paper onto the other side. This is especially helpful if you're drawing your images in a notebook and you don't want to create like a faint outline of all your images on top of each other. And wax paper is actually a very easy and cheap solution. You can actually get a whole ream of wax paper from someplace like a Dollar Tree, and it'll last you for a very long time. And I actually use this, and also I'll use this to put down my acrylic paint when I'm doing an acrylic painting, because so what I'll do is I will take a piece of wax paper and some wet paper towels and put the wax paper on top of the wet paper towels, and then put my acrylic paint on top of that, and it'll keep the paint from drying underneath. Because I often had a problem with acrylic paint just drying on me while I'm doing my painting, like just midway through. Part of the reason why I like acrylic paint so much is because it dries quickly, and I am kind of one of those people who doesn't. I like oil painting if I can do it in one setting, but I don't. I know that some like really old paintings and some more traditional painting techniques, you can do a painting and it'll take you like weeks to finish because you have to wait until each layer is dry, and I can be kind of impatient in that regard. I'm adding in some very, very dark areas onto this drawing because I wanted to just have some very deep shadows in here, and I'm going to use the previous color to soften up a lot of these edges. But yeah, I've done a lot of oil paintings over the years. I was heavily influenced by watching Bob Ross videos. I've done a number of Bob Ross style paintings, which I will, once I get the setup, I will also be doing for the stream. I really enjoy that kind of that style. But I've also been really into acrylic paint lately because I can do a lot of things, just let the paint dry and then continue forth from there. I'm just going to soften up some of these more hard shadows, kind of let them blend in a little bit. Probably won't blend in completely. That's okay. We're just kind of going more for still kind of an impressionist style, but all right. I'm going to go ahead and start on the stem of the drawing. So, the stem does have a bit of a hard highlight to it as well. But I'm going to go ahead and, aside from the places where the light is really striking the stem, I'm just going to go ahead and color in the whole thing with this color. And then we'll start to shade it out from there. We use a bit of the blender on the white area just to make sure that that's edges are kind of fuzzy. Over this one more time. I'm going to go ahead and kind of darken up some of these areas, kind of start giving the stem some texture to it. I also want to start darkening up some of these areas too. I think the stem could stand to have a slightly darker color to it. Let me go ahead and quickly pick one out, and then I'll probably about wrap up this particular drawing. Yeah, it's not too bad. Not bad. Go ahead and sign this, and start thinking about what I want to do next. Just leave that there for a minute. Alright, so I think what I will do next is I'm going to do a stack of donuts. Yep, a stack of chocolate donuts with sprinkles on top. That sounds like a pretty cool project. So I'm going to start off with the outline. And I do have a bit of a reference photo on the side. Again, this is really just to kind of give me an idea of how the light is going to work on these. But I'm probably not going to follow it like 100%. I'm really just going to be using it as just kind of an idea of what I want to see. So as one of the things is I rarely follow like a reference like all the way through. I usually kind of just want to do my own thing, which is also kind of the reason why sometimes it's hard to draw like a recognizable person or a celebrity. You can always tell when somebody like that looks a little off. Yeah, this is looks pretty good. I'm a bit of a chocoholic myself. I'm totally addicted to chocohol. Let's see, I'm going to draw in some outlines of sprinkles. And these ones, I know the sprinkles on here are a variety of colors, and I might make them that way too, but I'm probably just going to choose whatever colors I want to see, not necessarily what was on the reference. And depending on what I decide, I might go over a few of these and just like omit them. Um, go ahead and draw some sprinkles on there. I'll try to draw around the sprinkle shapes as best I can though. Alright. I think I've outlined this quite well. So I'm going to start swatching out the colors I want. So for this, I'm going to use a scrap piece of paper. Yeah, this looks like a nice piece of paper to use for just testing out some colors. I'm going to go first with swatching out or kind of picking out what colors I want for I don't know what you really call that. The donut part, the cake part, the part that's not covered in chocolate icing is really what I'm going for here. So I got a variety of yellows, and I just want to see what they all look like together. That one is surprisingly darker than the others. I don't really think I like that one. It doesn't look quite cake-like to me. It's not horrible. Well, let's see what they all kind of look like blended together. If they mesh well together, I could go with these. But if they don't, then okay, the two darker ones I think look okay together. I'm really not sure about this light one though. Let's see what else I can find. What else can I dig up in here? I try this one. Yeah, these colors kind of mesh well together. I kind of like that. The other one is too light compared to the other two, and it just isn't making a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to start first by putting down the cake. Let's start off with the light. Just kind of like started putting the light color in first, and working my way up. You know, I might actually have a use for that lighter yellow after all, because I think that it could mesh well with this other lighter yellow, and it does not too bad. Like I said, if I don't like this, I could always just go back over it, and it would just be blended into the... Yeah. This doesn't look too bad. I like this. Okay. Alright. Okay. You know what? The lighter yellow redeemed itself. I'm glad for that. Really want to be able to find a use for a lot of my colors here, so... I might not actually end up going as dark with the yellows as I initially thought, depending. I mean, I might change my mind. I'm just talking out loud. If you're part of this, if you're watching this stream, you're going to notice I talk to myself a lot. And that is often because I feel like I have the most important and interesting things to say. Yeah, but seriously. You know what? I kind of like the idea. I'm not going like super dark with this. And go ahead and do all that fun stuff. Get up here. let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and put some little textures in there. Like this is like a
Thanks for the follow.
Go ahead and lighten up that part. All right. Not looking too bad. Oh, so I see we got a thing in chat asking what I'm drawing. Is I'm doing a stack of donuts. Stack of donuts with some chocolate frosting on it and some sprinkles, and gonna be darkening up some of these edges. I kind of wanted to look more like the frosting was casting a bit of a shadow on the cake. I'm not sure if that's actually the right term, cake, but so I'm going to go with. That's what I'm going to call it. I don't want to go like too crazy with the shadows either. I just want to put some indication of it, give it a little bit of a three-dimensional look to it. And yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Let's go ahead and just kind of go along the little edge here. Alright. I'm going to try something real quick. I want to just make sure that this blends in the way I envision it. It's okay if it doesn't, but it looks like it's going to. Oh yeah. That's a bit of a... Since I'm pretty satisfied with that, I'm going to do the same thing to the rest of these. Blend. Yeah, it's before you start digging into a drawing, it's always probably a really good idea to go in and actually test out your colors before you commit it to your drawing. And sometimes I'll do that, and sometimes I'll forget. Sometimes, especially when I'm painting, I'll kind of just start doing whatever I feel like without actually testing it out first, and it usually works out, but there have been times where it got me into some slight trouble. Nothing I couldn't just paint over if I needed to. As it to Bob Ross used to say, happy little accidents, or happy little trees, I think. But yeah, I don't think I've ever had an accident that was such a disaster that it ruined the whole piece. Alright. I think the layers of the cake look, pretty decent so far. I think I'm going to go ahead and start putting in some of that chocolate. Got to go back to my test piece of paper. Make sure I find the right colors I want. Some lighter parts of this that see what kind of browns I have. Okay, I'm going to start off with these first and then kind of work my way down. So, not too sure about this light brown. Looks a little too, looks like a beige. Doesn't really come off like a chocolate color so much. May end up only having a couple of browns in here that I actually like. Let's see what else I can find real quick. I don't know. Just want to experiment a little bit, see what I think of this. Yeah. Let's give that beige color one more chance. See if it blends in well with the rest of the brown. Yeah, you kind of have to go over it a few times, but it doesn't look that bad. Let's see. Kind of ties together after a bit. You just can't very well use it alone. That's the only problem. Yeah, let's go with it. I have a feeling it's going to turn out pretty well. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of draw on some of like the parts where it's highlighted first. I'll do my best to go around the sprinkles. That way I won't completely wipe them out. But, yeah, no promises. There may be a few that get lost along the way. Yeah, it's okay. There's plenty of them around, so... The other nice thing is this time it's completely covered in sprinkles, so if you lose a few, yeah, you'll still have plenty left. We'll try to be careful not to like wipe them out entirely. So this is the mid-tone color, and I think this is probably the one that I'm going to be covering the majority of this with. And then I'll start darkening up some areas afterwards. Yeah, I'm actually, like I said, I've had a lot more experience with oil painting than anything else. I've been oil painting since 2018. Probably have at least a few hundred oil paintings done by now, because at my height I was doing oil painting each week, especially during COVID. You kind of have to find a way to keep yourself busy when everything's kind of in lockdown, and I don't think everything was like completely locked down per se. I know they told you weren't supposed to like kind of limit how much you want to go out, and frankly I was in no hurry to go out there and get exposed to a pandemic, so and even at that I never was really one of the most social people in the universe to begin with, so the pandemic wasn't really that much of a change, but it wasn't after a while I really was just kind of wanting to just go ahead and get this whole thing over with. It gets one of my things is that I'll just kind of skim over to any kind of documentation or instructions. So whenever he was saying liquid white, or he's going to put down a base coat of liquid white onto his canvas, which he would never show himself doing that part. He would just talk about it. I always just kind of glossed over it, and I thought you just go ahead and just dive on in and just start applying paint randomly to the canvas. And I eventually found out what liquid white was, and then that started making my paintings a little bit more close to what he was doing. So I'm going to, just as a test, before I really start committing to anything else, I want to see if I can just kind of blend out this hard edge. And it looks like it's coming out pretty well. It's for me, because one thing I really don't want is I really don't want there to be like any hard edges or transitions between like these where there's supposed to be a bit of a gradient. But I do want there to be some highlight. Yep, killed a sprinkle. And almost like smoothed out one. It's fine. R.I.P. little sprinkle. Actually, this is looking pretty decent. one more test, one more thing. I just want to see what happens if I start putting in a bit of a darker shade around here. I'm not even really looking at the, not even really looking at the reference photo right now, even though maybe I should be. I'm kind of just sort of putting in shapes and shadows where I think they should be. And it's not looking too bad. I'm probably going to have to go back to it shortly. Yeah, I'm going to blend out this hard edge real quick. Yeah. While I'm at it, might darken up the midtones just a little bit. There you go. I think this area could just be a little darker. Kind of. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, you know, this little edge here is kind of bugging me a little. There, perfect. Actually, come to look at the reference, this area from over here probably needs to be a bit darker too. I don't want to darken up this edge too much. I think I'm going to use the really light beige to kind of blend in some of this just a little bit. It'll kind of darken up like the lighter parts, but not too much. And yeah, it's actually looking pretty good. One fast idea I had, just to see if maybe I can darken up this edge of the yellow without there we go. I don't want to go too crazy with darkening this side, but I do kind of want to make it look a little bit darker compared to this side. And I can do the same thing over here. Like I said, I'm just kind of actually using the lightest color, just kind of like darken that edge, kind of get it a little bit more three-dimensional. And I'm pretty satisfied with that. So I'm going to go ahead and just color in the rest of this chocolatey part with the mid-tone. You know what? Just so I don't eliminate too many sprinkles in this drawing, I'm just going to go ahead and go around them first before filling in the rest of the color. Yeah, so I hope you're all having a good Monday night. Mondays usually are the worst of them, unless you work during the weekend. Yeah, it's like usually it's the day like you finally get back from your weekend vacation and you're like, oh, I don't want to go back to work. Of course, I never really feel too bad about a Monday because I'm usually doing something on the weekend. I can never really seem to just take a day off sometimes. I always find myself quite busy, no matter what day of the week it is. And that's just how I am, though. I've always got to kind of keep moving, keep doing stuff. If I'm not doing my day job, then I am going back and I'm doing some artwork or something. It's just something to kind of keep me busy. Of course, that's the thing about art, at least for me, is it doesn't really feel like a job, mostly because it's probably more of a hobby anyway. But I mean, there is a lot of effort that gets put into any kind of like artistic endeavors. So, and if you can really make like a real career out of it, and that's something I like I said, my lifelong dream is to like actually make a career out of artwork. then you should go for it. At the very least, you'll always, like I said, if you really enjoy something, like I said, at least you'll get enjoyment out of actually doing the thing you like doing. And if you're just joining us and you feel like you've missed a lot, don't worry too much. I'm saving all the recordings and I'll be sure to upload them on YouTube or anywhere I can put like videos. Like I said, we're just getting started with live streaming. This is actually kind of a first time for me. So if it seems like I'm kind of unscripted, kind of going off whatever I feel like, that's because I am. I did not script anything. I just figure I'll just make it up as I go along. And I'll probably need to plan out at least some kind of thing. Could do a little bit better job planning out my content in the future. But in the meantime, yeah. Yeah, so I was just really eager to dive on in and give this a try. And also, it gives me an excuse to pick up a pencil or pen or a set of markers and just kind of get into it. Really want to start doing some, planned out some kind of like acrylic painting to do. Probably have to split that up into multiple parts though, because that one takes a while for me to finally be satisfied. So that one will probably be split up into multiple parts, but have fun watching me go over it and go back over it and change my mind. Yeah. If you're a fan of traditional artwork, say oil paintings, or well, I have a few acrylic paintings. I have a number of artworks for sale on my Etsy page. Like I said, you never know. You might want to try that out. I think Father's Day is coming up. Or if you forgot to buy your mother a gift, it's never too late for a belated Mother's Day gift. But yeah. Yeah, I'll be taking the, I believe it's the VODs on my Twitch channel, and I believe I can upload those directly to YouTube. I'm not actually sure. I didn't read the okay. I didn't read the instructions all the way through. I read them enough to get the stream started. That's about as much instruction reading as I did. But I'm fairly certain I can. Um, if nothing else, I also have this backed up on my SD card, and I also have a copy of it locally as well. So, one way or the other, it's going to be posted in multiple places. We're getting there. You know what? That's the thing about art, too, is that we can take our time. I am not under any particular schedule or necessarily under the gun on this one, so. Also, the beauty of these alcohol markers is that just kind of go over the same spot multiple times and just make it a little bit darker. I mean, there's like probably an upper limit to how much you can really do this. We got some good quality paper. I've never run into an issue where I've gone over the paper so much that it actually just wore through. So I don't think that's really a problem. I think at a certain point it really can't get any darker. Or maybe I would get to the point where I would just simply run out of ink. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure that'll happen one day. And then I just have to get another marker to replace it. Yeah, so I'm just kind of darkening up. It's just kind of building up some volume and dimension to the donuts before I truly start to lay in some darker colors. Speaking of darker colors and blending things in, I really should start blending in some of these highlighted areas just a bit, just so they can start becoming look like they're part of the actual donut itself instead of just weird splotches. That's kind of the nice thing is that you can just kind of go back over this and do this as many times as you want. Alright, this stack of donuts is starting to look pretty tasty. But I think it's time to start adding a few more dimensions to this one. So I'm going to start by, okay, just kind of, there you go. Create a bit of separation between these two parts here. And you can probably do a little bit of that. But I kind of want to make it look like maybe some of the frosting is kind of melting from one to the other. Kind of makes the donuts look extra gooey. It's like a triple-decker donut over here. Just take all three of them, just shove them into your mouth. Ah, looks like we got a follower back here. Thanks. That's actually, like I said, I'm getting pretty happy with this. It's still gonna take a bit more work, but coming along nicely. I'm having a really good time and really enjoying the whole thing. Okay, I want to kind of add a bit of a here to just kind of give us a bit more dimension to it. And then it's time to go back over to my mid-tone color and start blending in some of these edges here and kind of looking that out. I also had some experience with those watercolor pens or watercolor markers, and as far as blending goes, I think the watercolor markers tend to be a little less forgiving. Also, if you're applying a lot of water to your paper, depending on how good of watercolor paper you're using, kind of chews up the paper pretty nicely. Found that, like I said, I found that some watercolor paper is a little bit better quality than others. So, if you're ever doing watercolor paintings or working with watercolor markers, and you notice that your paper is starting to get chewed up and you've barely done any work on it at all, and it's already getting kind of shredded, then you're probably working with some less than great quality watercolor paper. And I found some kits like you think it would be like they'd package some better quality paper in there, but like higher name brands. I'm not gonna name any names, of course, but I found a few that, like I said, the paper, the equipment itself was fine, but the paper was not so good. And I ended up just kind of abandoning that paper and going with some better watercolor paper I had on hand. But I kind of find that these, especially this kind of marker paper, you can go over it multiple times and it doesn't really chew into the paper or anything. You don't shred up the paper. So... Well, we're getting there, but we haven't even really started working on the sprinkles yet. So we still have a ways to go before this one will be completely finished. That's okay. I got a bit of time to work on this, and we're making some good progress here. So let's just keep on going. Okay. I'll start blending in some of these more harsher edges, and then see how that looks. Let's see. This is looking pretty good. Oh hey, got a new person in chat. Thank you. Glad you appreciate how it looks. It's looking good. I'm going to, before I decide what color I want to make these sprinkles, I'm going to maybe add a bit of a, maybe not that harsh of a shadow. I'm going to add a little bit of shadow around some of these sprinkles just to kind of give them a bit of a, just so that when you look at them, it's looking a bit, you know, like the sprinkles are casting a shadow. I don't know why it took me so long to think of the words. But yeah, it's kind of, like I said, I don't want to get too much into it. It's like, especially when you get into lighter areas, you want to kind of just, you kind of keep it loose though. It'll be like a slight indication, and the people will see it, but it's not going to like, oh, well, you know what, there we go. R.I.P. little sprinkle. It's gonna, people will see it, but it's not going to jump out at them. And it's just going to be one of those little things that just kind of adds a little bit of credibility to your image. Let's see. That. I wonder what I would like as far as
thanks for the follow.
The sprinkles. I think I'm going to bust out a color wheel and consult the color wheel to determine what it is I want to see. Because the main theme of the main color theme is kind of a yellow, goldish, and a brown. And brown's just really dark orange, so at least that's why I believe. Changed my mind. But
let me show you something.
Let's see. Come on, trying to find the. Okay, here we go. Color wheel.
Why didn't you listen to me?
Let's take a look at that. So, if I'm over here, and I think it would be approximately kind of a bluish purple. You know what? It's gonna be purple. Yeah, we're gonna go for some purple sprinkles, and like I said, this should kind of tie everything together as far as color wheels go. Start off with a light color. Well, you know what? Let's actually consult the scrap piece of paper first before we decide on um, what colors I'm going to go with as far as like these purple sprinkles. Mm. These are minor details, so I don't need to go too insane with like blending either. I'm just going to go with a light color and a dark color, and just enough to kind of get some shading in there. So that's probably not too bad. Let's see how these two blend together. Oh wow, this one is too harsh. I can already kind of, yeah. Okay, the dark one's out. That is too harsh a color. Maybe this one? No, too red. Yeah, we'll try this. A little too desaturated. How do they look together though? That's okay. You know what? I think I'll use these two colors, and then probably use the dark, the slightly darker color to kind of go over it, just to kind of give some indication of shading. But yeah, like I said, these are little details. You don't really have to, get too wild about it. I just don't want to leave these just like blank. But I do want them to have some shading, especially around the sides when it gets darker, because it's gonna look a little weird if you just kind of leave them unshaded. Well, have a good night. Have the, you know, and no, I wouldn't worry too much. Like I said, I'm going to be sure to post these previous streams on other platforms, just in case people who want to come in later or miss something, they'll be able to see it later, in one way or the other. I got a YouTube channel I got to revitalize. I was just never one for like high volume video editing. Alright. It's not looking too bad. But just kind of give this little light indication. Okay, so these ones that are like a little bit in the lighter areas, you don't have to kind of go over as harshly. Alright. I'm going to try to add one last little detail, just because I want to see what will happen. Hopefully this will be okay. I'm going to add a little bit of a, just kind of give some of these sprinkles a little bit of extra dimension. Add a few highlights here or there. Maybe a little highlight on the chocolate. Just kind of show where light's hitting some of the objects. I don't want to go too crazy with like the highlighter or anything like that. You can probably go overboard with this, so. Alright. Of course, you don't want to add any highlights to like the cake area because that part won't be reflecting light. It's not particularly shiny. Well, this is looking very good. I think I'm going to call this one done. Let's go ahead and sign this off. Perfect. All right. Well, we are approaching the end of the stream. I mean, it's almost been about, hold up a second, about 3 minutes away from 2 hours, and it's probably about time for me to wrap this up. Well, I will say, this has been a great first stream. Actually, before I go, before I call anything done, I want to give this thing a shadow. I want these to have a bit of a... I don't want them to just floating out there on outer space, just kind of doing their thing. I'm going to have a bit of a shadow on the hypothetical clean white table. I don't want, like I said, I don't want these things just floating in space somewhere. Let's quickly go over the other artwork we started as a warm-up. Make sure that you have enough time to check out and appreciate the artwork that came before. And you know what? That too is also floating out in space, and I don't like that. Just kind of throwing a bit of a shadow here. Yeah, I don't want like a space pepper. Wow. This has been real. It's been fun. But can you say it's been real fun? Because I know I can. I'm going to wrap this up for the night. And we will come at you live. You know, I'm not really quite on a set schedule just yet. I'm thinking of, you know, at least 3 or 4 days a week, you know, around the same time. Anyway, just keep an eye out. We'll be back. This has been the Paint Stream, and we are going to say goodnight. Have a good one.